want to go ahead and say, this is not, and I repeat, not a how-to video. It's just me doing what I do. I figured somebody might enjoy it. What's going on? Back out here again. Today we're working on the old boom truck. Time to do that front end parts I've been talking about. So, suppose to just get right into it. So, excuse me. First things first, I think we just get the front end up, get the tires pulled off, and I'll show you exactly why I need to go after this front end. Alright, so now if you watch the ball joints as I'm picking this up. See that? See how big the gap is up there? Yeah, that's why. Alright. Give her the old shake test. Looks good. Get this guy out of the way. Let's unbolt some tires. I'll go ahead and put these right outside. They're not going back on. Still some remnants of the last time I played in the mud with this thing. Lots of mud in here. So what I like to do is to compress the caliper a little bit, back the pads off. And I like to, and then it's easier to pull that off instead of trying to fight it. Oh, there we go. Caliper slides are nice and loose, so that's good. Man, these tools are cold today. It's 13 degrees outside and everything's cold in here. Brake pads look good. Sweet. Set that aside. Get it out of the way. Rotor comes off. Then it's 3 bolts. 1, 2, and 1 on the front. Get the wheel bearing, unit bearing, whatever you want to call it out. Oh, look at these axle joints. Hear that? That's slop in here. And if you look right there, that is supposed to be real close. And that's a long ways away. Oh, look. Look at that. Holy cow. That's crazy. I can't believe this hasn't broken. I'm honestly shocked that it's not broke. Both ball joints are terrible. Oh yeah, look at that. There are no needles left in that axle joint. Oh, if you look right there. Right there, you can see how sloppy that is. Oh man. It's overdue. It's time. Well, keep going. These are a 9/16 12-point bolt. Very odd, but the only thing I've found that'll work is chrome socket. I don't have any impact sockets that are 12-point. So this is how I do it. I like to break them loose by hand, that way I can feel what's going on. And once they're at this point, I'll grab an impact and I'll zip them out of there quick. Like I've said multiple times on multiple videos, I like the one clip I always put in the front or the beginning of the video. This is not a how-to, this is just how I do it. And if it's right, wrong, or indifferent, it's worked for me for a long time, lots of years. I've done lots of these because I have an old mud truck that's the same basic thing, just a regular cab short bed, and I constantly break axle joints. So I've done a lot of this, pulling these out, getting the hub out of the knuckle, putting axle joints back in, putting wheel bearings in. Now, if you know an easier way to do this, which there might be, there might not be, I don't know. If you know one, leave it down in the comments, let me know. But I feel like this way, this is the best I can come up with. And like I said, I've got a fair amount of them under my belt, so it's kind of an educated guess, but it works. I shouldn't say it wrecks them, it just compromises the splines. So if you can see how messed up that is, that's because this bolt was on a truck that broke an axle joint. And then the pieces go flying and mushroom the bolt heads out, and it's kind of an ordeal. I usually just pound a socket on there and make it work. So now what I do is I leave the axle nut on, so that way the unit bearing stays together when you're pounding it out. I wouldn't do this on a street vehicle I was going to reuse, because you risk damaging this flange and throwing it out of whack. But like I said, this is an off-road only truck, low speed yard truck, so I'm not worried about doing it this way. A little bit in the front, a little bit in the back, walk that thing out of there, nice and easy. Now I know that I've been inside or in this one before, because that came out way easier than one that's never been apart. Now mind you, this truck only has 122,000 miles on it, as rusty and nasty as it is, but they always fight harder than that if they've never been out. Or if they've got a lot of miles on them, they always fight harder than that. So, that's out, that's done. Not done, it's out of the way. But with this out, you can really see how slopped out that is. Any movement means the joint is compromised. Those should not have any play whatsoever. So now we're going to, oh, the magnet came loose again. I'm going to get the tie rod off, back off the ball joint bolts, try and get the knuckle out of here. Does this have a cotter pin? It's got what's left of a cotter pin. Great. So a lot of times when they're real rusty and crusty like this, I just get the cotter pin out of the way as much as you can, and I let the impact shear off the cotter pin. Now if that doesn't work, if it ends up messing up your tie rod at all, that's what I'm saying. This is not the proper way to do it, but it'll work for this application. If you were going and fixing a truck that was meant to be on the road, you daily drive it, whatever, I wouldn't do it this way. But I'm gonna take and pound a socket on this, and I'm gonna grab the impact and I'm gonna back it off, and it'll shear off the cotter pin. Pound that up. Try and get that cotter pin up. Hello? Oh, just fixing junk, like always.
You're actually coming apart these yet?
Yeah, sorta. Got it. Now, as much as you are tempted to, don't hit that. If you're gonna reuse this, hit it right here and this thing will fall out. Might take a few good solid whacks, but hit it like you mean it. Like that. But I think I caved in part of it. Oh no, just grease. There we go. That was loud.
We're good.
Oh yeah, this side has broken an axle joint before. Suppose better get the ball joint press out. So here's what we got. Got the new ones. They look to be right, but I've never seen one that's this style. It's like a straight shaft and then there's like a plastic insert. I don't know if you can really see that, but it's kind of, it's in there. And that one, junk. But I got all the crap off the knuckles, old ball joint parts. Those came right out. Actually surprisingly easy. Hopefully the other side does too. And now we're gonna start reassembly. So another little project we got going on, we're gonna put lights right here. That's what he's working on, is making the little bracket. We'll take that bracket and we'll weld it right off the side of here, and then that light, we can change the angles, we can change up and down, but then they'll face outward a little bit, so then they light up more than just straight on. That light bar works great, but it's all straight forward. It's meant for driving, and I don't have enough light off to the side of the truck when I'm plowing. Now I got the ball joints put in, and now it's just reassembly. I'm gonna put the knuckle back on. I gotta get the little rubber things first. I almost forgot to put these back on. That'd have been bad.
Don't forget with the little smash ring.
It won't work with this axle. With it, the way that this inner C is, it's not flat on the inside. It's got a bit of a taper to it. So, well, add it to the collection. Now, I'm going to take a second and make life easier, because right now this cotter pin hole is this way, and I want it this way for when I put the cotter pin in there. It makes it easier. I'll just take a little punch, put it in there, and turn it. Oh yeah, now it's front to back, so it should be way easier to put the cotter pin in. Put the nut on. Put the roller nut on. Hammer them home. I don't know how tight to put them, so I'm just putting them about that tight. Yep. A little bit. Now another thing, if this was a road vehicle, I would not allow that. The way the hole is under the castle nut, so normally on a street driven vehicle what I would do is I'd grab a washer or two to space that down so your cotter pin's actually in the nut. Now on this truck, I don't even know if it needs cotter pins, but I'm going to put them in because it's the right thing to do. But make sure when you're putting new stuff in that that actually is going to do what it's intended to do, because the cotter pin's meant to keep the nut on if it loosens up for some reason. It's a safety feature. So now with the cotter pin in there, you can really see what I mean. It's not in there like it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be in that groove of that nut, but it'll be fine for this truck. Oh. Get that grease fitting put in there. Now everyone laughs at me because of my tiny little crescent wrench. Look at how small this thing is. But when you need them, boy, are they handy. Perfect. Nice and snug how you want it. Not tight, not loose. I'm cool with that. Now we'll get this lower one put in there. Now you can use a socket on these. You just have to take that part of it off, and then you could get a socket on there, but this works just fine too. Now, of course, it's gonna frickin' be where I can't get it. Get the grease gun on it, I mean. I might be able to get it to point backwards. We'll see. I don't want to shear off the grease fitting into the ball joint though. And I feel like I'm at that point. Alright, well, maybe just a little bit more. Like I said, I don't want to shear it off. Okay, now get the grease fitting, grease gun right through there. That should be great. Okay, time to do an axle joint.
Artlist.io.
So one thing I like to do when I get these apart is I like to take a file and clean off these faces right here. But if you can see, it gets a burr on the inside, and then it could interfere with the way the clip locks onto the cap. So I like to just file. Yeah, these are all the same. They got big burrs on them from being running loose in a broken joint. And so I'm gonna go through and file them all up nice and flat and clean, and then we'll get this joint installed.
Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined.
There we go. Got it all done up. I like the non-greasable ones. I like to run spicers. These are my favorite. They work really good. They're strong. One thing I will suggest is when you've got your clips put in and everything's home where it needs to be, take and lift it up and hit it right here on each side, and it like helps center the cap so there's not any tension on it. Same with drive shaft U-joints, axle joints, anything like this, steering shaft joints, any of that. You just take it, kind of lift it up, a couple of light taps like that, and it feels real good. This is ready to go back in the truck. We got these, or Jakey got these lights put on. Just working on wiring them up right now. Got to run to the battery here in the front of this. I don't even know if you can see it. Oh yeah, right there. There's all the connections for all the other lights. They come on with the fog lights. So we'll test that circuit and see if it'll handle. So it'll be 5 lights now. Might end up having to put another switch in there, but alright, get this stabbed back in there. Try not to push all the mud and dirt down the axle tube into the diff. Oh yeah, look at that. This falls right back into place. 3 bolts. Should probably grease it. Alright, that's that. Since how I got the tire off, I gotta replace this bar. It's the track bar. Keeps the axle located side to side. And this end of it is junk. So that bolt, or nut, and there's a bolt down there that we gotta take out, and that should come out pretty easily. Now this is where a big hammer comes in, because you're going to want to hit it right there, which can be tough sometimes. There we go. Oh, that'll come out of there when I get that bolt out of the other side. Gonna need the big one. Pry bar action. Got it. Well, reverse the process. Put it back together. Alright, I got the new one in. Now I just got to get the bolts lined up.
This one okay?
Yep.
Bigger one?
I needed a liner. Get this bolt hole right. And we can ratchet strap the truck over to get it where it needs to be. Now, to get this Dodge did this cool thing where they use these nuts with the big tail on them.
Huh.
Can be good, can be bad.
Keep going a little bit.
Tap it with the
Yep.
hammer. Oh yeah,
Nothing else then?
butter.
No washers?
No washers. Whoop. Hit the camera. Welcome back. Same shop, different day. Same project. Working on a boom truck. Had to get this side torn apart and fixed. And I was beating the snot out of this rotor and that thing is stuck. So I'm trying to decide if I want to take the wheel bearing out of the knuckle with the rotor on, which is going to complicate things, or if I should just continue beating on it until it comes loose. Just have to see what works. I'm going to try some different stuff. I think I might set this up on a time lapse. Alright, we got that out. What happens is they sit in there for so long, and I'm assuming this one's factory because the way it fought me, but they rust inside of that bore and it just clinches down on that wheel bearing after time. So what you got to do, or what I do, is I heat up the knuckle to try and expand it a little bit, and then you just start beating the snot out of it, trying to get it to move a little bit to get a skinny little chisel in there. Okay, and then just keep working it, this side, that side, this side, that side, you know, back and forth until you get into the bigger ones, and then you can really, once they start moving, they're not terrible, but getting them to move is the hard part. So I can show you how bad this one is. All the rollers are gone in that cap, but this way still feels really good, nice and tight. So I think I might take 2 caps off the old one and put it onto this one. Oh, this one was ready to go. This cap is walking outward a little bit. There's that clip and that cap is broke inside of there. The little ear is broken off, so that thing was just about ready to break. I got my time out of that one. I'm surprised it didn't break. So somewhere in here I have another axle shaft and wheel bearing combo like I just pulled. Oh, there, I think I found it. Yeah, look at this. Bear with me. Well, this one, by rights, I could just slide it right back in there. Cause that axle joint's really good. It's nice and tight. Everything moves nice and free. What I might do for today, because I have to, we got other stuff we need to work on. Let me point you at me. I got other stuff I need to work on, so I might, oh, that wheel bearing feels real good too. I think I'm gonna slip that axle shaft and wheel bearing assembly back in there and then I'll rebuild that one and set it aside, because there will be a time when I need to do another wheel bearing or axle shaft or whatever in this truck. So for today, I think that's what I'm going to do. Save myself a little time, because we're going to work on the GMC a little bit later. We got some cool stuff coming on that thing today. It's going to be sweet. You'll have to watch the video. But yeah, now I'm going to go on to the ball joints. Get this tie rod off, get the ball joints out and apart. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, let's just dive into that. There's that. Oh yeah. The bottom one's real bad, but that upper one isn't terrible. There we go. But having a metal sliver sucks. Wow, got her. Oh, P.S. The best way I've found to get a metal sliver out of your finger is to bite it. Worst part about doing ball joints is when you're using one of these, there's so many things, so many pieces that you got to keep in line and straight and all that. Sometimes it needs more hands than the two you got. It really helps to have a ball joint press that's not bent. Mine is bent from doing the rubber bushings and leaf springs. This part here is like that. But it still works. Just got to get a little creative and be a little careful. Oh yeah. Woo! There we go. Oh yeah. Moving now. Look at that. It's the little things in life. Small victories. Here we go. Look at that. So what I did there, I don't know if you saw that, but I put a bunch of pressure on it until the impact wouldn't spit it anymore. And then I just tap it to try and break that free with under pressure like that. It seems to work really good. Like I always say, these are not how-to videos. These are just me doing what I do. Figure somebody might enjoy it. Sweet. Oh yeah, look at that. Just sloppy. Lots of side to side, lots of up and down. These are, ball joints are usually a zero tolerance, so if there's any wiggle at all in them, just do yourself a favor and replace them, or have them replaced. It'd be the worst thing, be cruising down the interstate or whatever, you got your family loaded up, going to do something, have fun, whatever, and this sucker breaks, and that whole tire just goes whoop. Alright, I'm going to clean that up a little bit, and then we'll get to installing new parts. So I'm going to take the hammer and just get it seated in there a little bit. I'm not hitting it hard, I'm just trying to get it started. There. Now it'll hold itself while we're getting our tooling set up. So seeing how my clamp is bent, that's why I was beating on it. Because it doesn't go in square, it goes in crooked, so with the tension on it, and you tap it, it like levels it off. So it seems to work pretty good. Alright, that looks good. Now, like I was saying, if your ball joint press was straight, you don't have to beat on it. Perfect. Alright, we can put the knuckle on now. After, put the little rubber seals on there. Don't forget to put the seals on. There's actually some wear in here from where the ball joint was bad for so long that it ate into the knuckle a little bit. There's that. Alright, I'm going to clean this bore out so that next time I have to do this, it doesn't fight me so bad. Another thing I like to do is I like to grease it. This is probably unnecessary, but that way I know it's not going to stick as hard ever again. It's a nice thick, well, not thick, nice layer on everything in here. And then I'll wire wheel the wheel bearing, slide that thing in there. Kind of a silly story. I've had this cup wheel on the shelf where I keep all my other wire wheels. And I just recently dug it out and started using it. And I can't believe how nice it works. Something so simple. Just laid there for years and never used it. Like, come on, dude, what are you doing? Man. There we go. Let's just put this thing right in there. There we go. Now with that rotor being off, you can see how hard I was beating on that for how many times I hit it. It is just trash. I would never run that on a street vehicle. But, like I've said many times, this is off-road only. It doesn't even leave the yard unless it's on a trailer. So some of these repairs are off-road only. But I'm gonna get the inside of that cleaned up quick. Well, got it all back on the ground, all 4 tires on, mess cleaned up. But now one thing I've wanted to do for a while is I wanted to shorten that stack. It doesn't need to be that tall. So what I'm thinking here, if I get the camera set up, that little magnet wheel's pretty sweet. So, kind of thinking slash cut it like this. I don't know. I'm gonna wing it. It's kind of like 45'd. I'm gonna cut it, and if I don't like it, I'll cut it straight. This is the fun part about this truck, is we get to try different things and learn how different tools work, and it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to work. You know what? I'm gonna grab my face shield. Look at this. We're so safe right now. Better not get cocky or the freaking blade will blow up or something. All right, I ain't mad at that. Let's get a grinder or a flap wheel and clean that up a little bit. Step back and have a look at it. Oh yeah, that's way better. Oh yeah, that looks awesome. Now we're not gonna get caught on so many sticks and trees and stuff. Cruising around out back. Looks a little stylish. Speaking of stylish, those OBS Ford rims look good. But you gotta put the Dodge center cap on them, you know. Really class the joint up. Really class the joint up. Well, got it outside, got the plow on it. Everything's hooked up, working, tied up. I like to tie my hoses up and stuff, so there's no chance of any damage. Cool little trick is if you got your spring clip on the end, run a piece of coat hanger or something over to the other side. If that little clip comes off, at least you don't lose it. Learned that with years of commercial snow plowing. We've had things happen. Handy little trick will save you some time, but either way, carry spares. That's it. That's a wrap on this one. The only thing I got to do is at night I'm gonna adjust these lights, but I did get them wired up. But as always, I appreciate you watching. Thank you. If you don't mind, hit that subscribe button. Maybe go check out another video on the channel or two, or you know, there's over 100, so have a look around, see what you see what there is. But thank you. We'll see you in the next one.